So in this video, I'm going to cover some of the potential risks of investing into Pokemon and just this Pokemon investing space in general, social media, I guess people talking about Pokemon investing. There are some things to be careful, about in this space. And we have, 5 topics here that I wanted to cover. So let's just get straight into it. So there are obviously risks of investing in a Pokemon. It's not risk free. I mean, that's kind of obvious, but some people make it seem that way. So there are a few, bullet points that will cover that. So the first one here is, the comparison of Pokemon investing to traditional investments. I'll never agree with anybody who compares investing into Pokemon with traditional investments. I never will. And that is coming from somebody who is very heavily invested into Pokemon, obviously, right? Um, they're not the same. I've accepted the risk of investing in a Pokemon, but one thing I've never done is comparing it to traditional investments. Now, one thing you can compare it to is just, I guess, the returns. Like, okay, you look at Pokemon, right? You look at the returns. Have they been exponentially greater than your traditional investments? Yeah, sure. I mean, we've seen plenty of things in, the last 5 years, 5, 10, 20x, right? It's happened, but you can't use these small time frames to be like, okay, Pokemon's a better investment, and I'm just going to go with this because the returns are exponentially great. It's possible. Is it going to continue? Yeah. But there's underlying risks of investing in a Pokemon which have to be, calculated here with the returns, where you can't just say, okay, look at Pokemon. It's so much of a better investment than traditional stuff because it yields a much higher return. Yeah, because obviously you're taking on more risk, and there's just a lot of other factors with Pokemon that you can't really compare it to like stocks or something. Like I just don't like the comparison to traditional investments because, come on, Pokemon. I mean, it's in the third bullet point here. It's not even comparable to a company or another type of thing you would invest into, right? It's not even the same. You're telling me buying a Pokemon card or buying a booster box is the same and the risk is the same as buying a stock. Like, I don't even know why people ever go to, I guess, comparing to traditional investments. I guess it's to make it seem less risky or make it seem more validated to invest in a Pokemon, which I'm not saying it's not, right? Obviously, like I said, I invest in a Pokemon, but I don't try to make these comparisons because it honestly, in my opinion, makes you less credible. It makes you sound kind of delusional comparing the two. Just keep it separate. Pokemon is an alternative asset. That's true. It's a collectible, and just leave it at that. Why do all these comparisons? It's like, okay, like, we get it. Some things have, many things have seen exponential gains in, like, the time period we've seen in the past like 5 years. It's true, but the risk is different. So that's the first thing I want to talk. I just really don't like people talking about stocks and comparing it. It's not the same. It's just like, okay, you could say the same thing, like comparing crypto to stocks. Oh, crypto's so good because look at the gains you've seen in the last decade. Yeah, but there's always that risk there, right? It's so different, and I just don't like anybody in this space, that talks and compares to stocks. It tries to legitimatize, investing in Pokemon, how it's so, or we've seen in history it's so safe. Yeah, in history, but we don't know what's going to happen in the future. And, there's the third bullet point I'm going to get to, which is a big part you should be thinking about too. But the second thing here, over glorifying large amounts of sealed product. Guys, I have a pretty, relatively large amount of sealed product, but I never try to do it in a way of showing off, like, oh, look at me, I'm, I have all this stuff. Guys, at the end of the day, who cares, right? I obviously show my stuff because a lot of you guys, I haven't done it in a while because, recording reasons and the audio issues that I've had previously. That's why I do this style now. But obviously, it's like showing the receipts or something. Someone's going to talk about this stuff. It's like, okay, is this person actually doing it, or do they have one booster box behind their shelf, right? Other than that, there's no reason to over glorify having, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, whatever, of sale product. It's like a who cares thing. Um, but I see there being one bad part to doing so is it can lead people to buy more than what they would have, because some people idolize people that have large amounts, like some, you know, popular, more notable YouTubers or, you know, investing channels than me, right? They like to idolize those people that have large amounts. There's nothing to idolize, right? Because at the end of the day, this stuff is more risky than other, you know, traditional investments, obviously. Therefore, I mean, is that real? Are we glorifying just more risk? You know, something to be said, right? But like I said, I mean, personally, I have a large amount. Like I understand that, and but I'm just being aware. I'm aware of the risks and of, you know, the space. But I just don't feel like it should be over glorified the way it is. Of how some people look at these people like I don't know. It's like, who cares? You have a small amount, large amount. It's whatever you're willing to take risk wise. But I do know, like, in the space, it is over glorified having a large amount, because people look at it like, wow, so cool. But some people are probably investing more than they should, and I feel like some people do that because they see these people with large amounts of Pokemon Steel product. Another thing which is connected to the first bullet point is that Pokemon has no intrinsic value. This is something that's been talked about in this space because it's true. You know, what is a card worth? Is, you know, itself, it's not worth anything. It's paper and plastic. But obviously, I mean, you can say this about a lot of things. You can say this about, you know, other collectibles like paintings, maybe watches or something. It's tied to the brand, right? But really in itself, it's not really worth much. It's literally paper and plastic and foil. It's not worth anything. But that's obvious. I mean, you're buying it for the brand. That's like, you can say the same thing with clothing or luxury items. Yeah, most things, they have no actual value, right? And the question is to be asked. I mean, what if people stop caring in the future about Pokemon and then all this stuff? Since it doesn't have any intrinsic value, it's just going to go to, you know, it's really not going to be worth much. That's a possibility. Obviously, you know, you can think about the probability of that happening. Is it high in the near future? Probably not, right? I mean, Pokemon's been around for almost 30 years. It has continuously grown, especially in the last decade. I mean, it doesn't seem like in like 5 to 10 years it's going to go away, but is it possible something happens? It's true, it's possible. And that's a, you know, a risk you have to weigh out. Like, okay, if people stop caring about this stuff, you know, it might be okay, you know, having this stuff. Something to think about, but, you know, obviously I don't think in the near future it's too much of a concern. The fourth thing here, the fourth bullet point I want to talk about is that most people in this space don't know what they're talking about. Now, obviously, you can say that it includes me, right? You can say that includes whoever. But most people, whether they've been doing this for a longer or a long time, or they have a large amount, it doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. Guys, you can go to any of these people's videos, and I can guarantee you there's been many things they've said that was completely wrong and didn't make any sense. I've said things, and I've owned up to them. I've said things that I was wrong about, and I've, you know, said in videos. I don't say it every single time because it gets repetitive. All the stuff I say is my opinion, right? And you have to understand that. So many people online, on these subreddits especially, they don't know what they're talking about. And you can just tell with, you know, I guess how they talk and, you know, maybe how they compare things to. It's like, some of these people really don't know anything. Like, it's actually kind of extraordinary. You see these people giving advice, and you can just tell their, you know, financial knowledge is very little. I'm not saying I'm a financial guru here, but I'm aware of, you know, some financial things, and some of these people have literally zero financial knowledge at all, and they're giving people advice. And yeah, therefore, I mean, people on the internet, they can say whatever they want, and they face no repercussions, right? So you have to take everything people say with a grain of salt, and I've literally said that with me. A lot of the stuff I say is strictly my opinion. So you do, just with anybody, have to, you know, understand that, you know, a lot of people don't know what they're talking about, and therefore, even if there's somebody you maybe like, maybe you see them, you look up to them, it's very possible they don't know what they're talking about, and they're just yapping. Because trust me, I've seen many people reference some people saying, oh, well, this person said it must be correct. Yeah, they've said things that were wrong that I know, that I'm like, okay, you're really going to trust this whole person with, you know, your money? I don't know, right? Last thing here is, you know, more of just, you know, a topic that I've, you know, gotten to a little bit before. I don't want to talk too much about it. Is the oversaturation in Pokemon investing, right? It's something to think about, is that, you know, now there are more people investing in Pokemon than ever. You know, we've seen, you know, exponential past gains in history. But since there's so many people doing it now, are the gains going to be the same in the future? And, I don't want to get too much into this topic because I've made separate videos about it, but it is a question to be asked. No one knows what's going to happen. It's possible we see the same gains we've seen in the past, in the future. It's very possible also maybe the gains will be very different because more people are doing it now than ever. So these are just some things I want to talk about. Just some things about the Pokemon investing space in general, and just with investing itself. At the end of the day, when you're investing into an alternative asset like Pokemon, you have to just accept the risk that this space holds, and therefore, when you accept the risk, I mean, just don't do, take on more risk than you really can, and that's something in the space that a lot of people, obviously. Don't do, because you see these people saying, oh well, my dog got sick, or this or that happened, now I gotta sell like all my collection. Guys, I know there's circumstances of life events that are not predictable or foreseeable, but seriously, if you're getting to that point, you probably shouldn't have had all that stuff in the first place, really. So just make sure, if you're investing in a Pokemon, know yourself that, okay, if this stuff really did just all go away, would I be okay? And if that does not really apply to you, then maybe you have too much. But just want to talk about some of the risks. I like to make videos once in a while talking about risk, because there's so many investing videos out there, channels that just talk about investing and talk about how great it is. But you do have to be aware of the risks, and if you accept them, then obviously invest in a Pokemon. But some of the things in the space just get passed around over and over again, and some people do become a little bit blindsided and have tunnel vision in this just investing world of Pokemon, when there are true risks that you should be aware of when you do actually invest into this stuff. So that's all I want to talk about in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.